What up YouTube, it's Missouri's Company. In today's video, I want to show you two different builds for the Monk. Both are very good for PVE. The Monk is a class that I very much enjoy being on. I've still not unlocked all of the legendary essences, which is why I've been sort of delayed giving you guys new builds. But I do have almost all the essences. I'm missing one that I'll show you in this video that I think are very good. And I will again show you the one essence that I'm missing so you can really fine tune both builds at the very end. So let's get straight to it, guys. I will go ahead and show you now the essence that I'm using in terms of the chest piece. So this is going to be the Enlightenment's Blessing, which is during Shield of Zen, your movement speed is increased by 25% and you move unhinged through enemies. Shield of Zen cooldown reduced by 3.6 seconds. The chest piece that I don't have that I would replace it with for both of the builds would be this one, Ease and Clarity, which is gaining Shield of Zen increases the movement speed of you and your allies by 40% for 4 seconds. Shield of Zen cooldown reduced by 3.6 seconds. Again, if I had this one, that is additional 15% more movement speed that I would be getting for probably a little bit less time, but still I would rather have that one for these builds to make it a little bit faster. So now that we have that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the first build as I get to my normal farming spot that I use for these videos because it's less populated. Now again, Monk is, I did a tier list of the best farmers in the game because again, you just probably are going to spend the most of your amount of time farming in this game. And this build is, again, one of the better options for the Monk, but again, the Monk as a whole isn't really, oh, pick that up. Good job. Oh, I'm hacking the system over here. I'm pulling things on the wrong thing. I'm open sources. But anyway, so it'll get the job done. It's not my favorite farm class because it's not mindless, admittedly. And that could be lazy farming, right? And if you love the Monk and you're okay with the amount of, I guess, attention that it needs to farm, then you're great. This is a good farm build. And I'll show you another one that's a slightly more mindless, but a little bit slower. Now, again, this is nowhere near as fast as something like a Crusader, a Barbarian, a Blood Knight even, or in my opinion, the Wizard. Like all of those are going to be immensely faster, in my opinion. And your results of these farms are going to be a great deal different depending on your resonance and other things in the game. So keep all of that in mind as you watch me struggle to move around. I also skipped a whole pack back there. What am I doing? But again, you get the idea with this build. It's okay, right? You just jump around. It's very similar to previous builds. I will show you the full build here now once I finish clearing these out. Again, it'll get the job done. It's fast for the Monk. The next one I'm going to show you is a little bit slower. I will show you some better alternative options as well. So for Legendary, I'm using the Head Penance Crown. Pensive. Did I straight up say penis in a video? Jesus Christ. Shield of Zen duration increased by 39%. We already talked about the chest piece. I'm using Shimmerlin for the shoulders, which is Wave of Light now releases Wave of Energy that damages all enemies in its path and burns them. Pants Branding Bond, which is Mystic Strike now causes you to move quickly in a direction, damaging all enemies in your path. Main hand number 1 is Calification, which is Shield of Zen now protects you and an ally with a shield of flames that absorbs damage and also deals damage to nearby enemies, but no longer provides immunity to loss of control effects. Offhand number 1 is Twitching Palm, which is going to be Fist of Thunder. First strike now becomes empowered with lightning emitting bolts of lightning that deal damage. Main hand number 2, Order Without Sin, which is the final strike of Fist of Thunder's full combo now generates a ball of lightning. I keep this one on because I also use this build for dungeons, and this one in particular really helps with more single target damage for bosses, where there's not a lot of movement. So once you do your full combo of your primary attack, then you'll actually get a ball that does some decent amount of damage. And then last but not least, I use Obstruction of Omniscience, which is Exploding Palm now dashes forward, burning enemies, Exploding Palm damage increased by 18%. Basically, and then when it comes to, well, let me talk about which set items I'm using. I'm using, again, I have some other options, but this is what I'm currently using. Grace of the Flagellant, so 4 pieces of this. So I get the continual and channel damage and persistent ground damage increased, mainly hovering around all of the fire that I'm doing in this build, with both Shimmerlin as well as the Shield of Zen. And this one, do I? Yeah. Okay, so I get 3 different fire abilities there. I was like, Exploding Palm also does fire. So I have 4 piece of Grace of the Flagellant, and I have 4 piece of Engmint's Conflagration, which is the duration of your additional Ignite statuses increased by 30%, and then there's a 15% chance of attaching an Ignite status to enemies when dealing damage with primary attacks or skills. Cool. So there's that. That is the whole build. Let's look at, I mean, for Paragon Tree, I'm still using Treasure Hunter, which I would recommend. Oops. And then in terms of your skills, if you couldn't tell, I'm using Fist of Thunder, which does very, very nicely just to jump to the next pack when you're close enough. Exploding Palm, which we already talked about what it does, Mystic Strike, Wave of Light, and Shield of Zen. The way that you should look at this is try to keep Shield of Zen up as much as possible, and then use Exploding Palm as sort of your engagement. So when you go towards a pack, use Exploding Palm through them, turn around, fight them, and then use a Shimmerlin, and then dash away with Mystic Strike into the next pack, and then into another one of these. That's sort of your rotation, if you will. Then that's what I mean by it's a little bit more... you have to pay attention to do it, because ideally that would be a perfect rotation. You can obviously switch it up and do Mystic Strike into them, but you'll do more damage with an Exploding Palm into a Shimmerlin, into a Shield of Zen, just maintaining it, and then dashing out with Mystic Strike, and then into another one for the next crowd. That's typically the rotation. But again, you can do whatever you want. So that is the first build. The second one is slightly easier, which is a bit subjective. Go ahead and hit the right buttons. Switch loadout. So I call the first one AoE speed, and this one is AoE farm. You can see the builds are very similar, although I am switching out for Cyclone Strike. I switch out, I think, 4 pieces, so we'll cover that as well. So this one is a little bit more mindless because you're just trying to keep things up as much as possible. So I'm going to keep Shield of Zen, and Cyclone Strike is now a whirlwind that I can maintain 100% uptime on. Now I do still have Exploding Palm, so I will get nice damage there into a Shimmerlin and then dash away. It's slower because someone's here. It is slightly slower because you get less charges of it. So again, I can get 100% uptime on this. Shimmerlin that, dash through, bleed will kill him. Shimmerlin. Now my dashes are down, so I'm using my primary attack to sort of, you know, keep movement. Dash into that. Very, very quick damage. I'm going to steal this rare or borrow it. Almost 100% uptime in the Cyclone now that I say that out loud. I think it's because I did switch my Vithus. You could use Vithus for this build. I will say that I'm obviously using this with the same exact set gear. Now Vithus is also, as of the time of this recording, a little broken in terms of it's not working as intended. Cool, I did get this rare guy. I actually do need this. I don't think I got a legendary yet. Cool, I actually do need legs. Perfect. Anyway, so that's this build. This one is a little bit more mindless, and when I'm doing overworld farming, this is the one that I would probably prefer. And it just depends on what I'm doing, right? So I'm putting the kids to bed, and I can't use both hands as frequently as or as well as I would want. I use this one as sort of like a one-handed build because you can just basically keep these two on at all times, and then just run around. Anyway, so the differences in the build. Paragon Tree is the same, set gear is the same, although you could use a Vithus for this one. Chest piece is balance in moderation, which is going to give you Cyclone Strike. Now creates a torrent of mystic wind around you, dealing damage to nearby enemies. Cyclone Strike damage increased. For the pants, which is different, the head and shoulders are the same. I'm using chastising Radiance, which is going to be the Wave of Light damage increased by 19%. Offhand, I'm using Eye of the Storm, which is Cyclone Strike's radius increased by 29%. And then I did change my main hand number 2 to Unyielding Doctrine, which is each time you deal damage with Fist of Thunder, you have a 10% chance to be electrified, increasing your primary attack speed by 50% for 1 second. And then everything else is the same. Again, same set gear, same Paragon Tree, same everything else. Just 2 different builds for you. I hope you guys enjoy it, guys. Again, these are the 2 builds that I do use almost all the time for the monk, unless I'm raiding or PvPing. I'm still trying to fine tune and find really solid builds. So if you guys have good builds for raiding or PvP, feel free to link them to me in the comment section below, either typing it out or Discord message me, whatever you want. I'm just trying to test out different monk builds before I make a video on it. But again, these are the 2 builds that I use for both overworld farming as well as dungeons. It's a very, very good build for both. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Until next time, I hope to see you in the video soon.